And we're live.
That's a good question. So last year I wanted to. I don't mean to overstate it, and I maybe do because I talk about it a lot, but I get this seasonal affect disorder. I'm sure you know what's up with that. But for listeners, some people just get a little sad in the winter, right? Not enough sunshine, not enough outdoor time, and depression is maybe overstated, but not too far off. Okay, so that's me every winter. And last year I was like, I'm going to get some vacations in, right? I'm going to go probably paragliding, Mexico, Colombia, wherever it is, and recharge my solar batteries and just get some like relief from the winter. If I were to spend 1 or 2 weeks once or twice over the winter, then, North Carolina is not that bad in the first place, right? Winter goes from December to February. Like, 4 weeks out of that and you'll be okay. But then COVID came and I didn't do anything. And now I'm looking at it and it's like, well, I'm sort of done with COVID. We broke a new record in America yesterday in terms of cases. COVID's not done with us. So where am I on this spectrum? What's smart? Are you doing traveling? What do you think?
So my parents are down in Florida. My mom, I haven't seen them since December of last year. My mom is pushing real hard for me to come down for that. And they're both old. They're both in their 70s. And my dad's a smoker and, underlying kind of risk for this shit. And my mom's a health nut, right? So, degrees. She was a midwife, but has cared about health and this type of thing all along. And she's advocating for me to drive down, wants us to kind of like semi-quarantine ahead and then drive down, which is a fucking bitch of a drive. It's like 20 something hours or something. But she seems to think that's going to be reasonably safe. And when you look at the way this stuff is transmitted, I'm not so worried about like contact surfaces quite as much anymore, right? This is much more like aerosol, like breathe the shit for any length of time stuff. So it's not like we wouldn't be a risk factor for them. But I think her idea is if we're semi-quarantined ahead of time, driving down isn't that much of a risk. My brother's done some stuff. Him and his wife have rented some like beach things where they'll go in and they'll just like wipe down the like beachfront rental as they go into that. And then they found that to be that's comfortable enough for them. And then they get their beach trip, like don't go near people, just the two of them kind of deal, but they get out, get some sunshine, get some experience. And that sounded kind of really nice to me. Just the idea of getting away a little bit sounded kind of nice.
I like that.
I'm thinking about it.
I've got a couple trips planned for Florida. There's a little exposure in that, I'll hang out with maybe 5 people I don't normally hang out with, but that's 5 people, it's not a ton. And that I will do. It's the flights, probably multiple, to some place like Colombia. I really doubt there's a direct from Raleigh to Colombia. So, that's hundreds of people in a little area, which is a plane. Like, that seems like a recipe for trouble.
Yeah, I'm really not sold on air travel right now yet. Like, and maybe that's too cautious. And, I've seen studies both ways. Like I saw the one study published, like I saw the one like linked by like the airline stuff where like, oh, it's not particularly contagious through here. Then I saw one talking about like the transmission of the virus actually on passengers through a plane. I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like not where I want to be right now.
And some
I don't know if it's
look at it through a lens of like, I'm scared of COVID. I'm actually not. Like if I was a single guy, I'd feel much differently. I'm really like, how would I feel if I got Jackie sick? How would I feel if the 1% chance Jackie died, or Colin, or Hope, or that baby we watch? Like, that's the sense of responsibility I have. If it was just me coming back to an empty apartment after the travel, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I think another part of me also wants this to end. And I feel like this has been prolonged by people being irresponsible. And part of me is kind of like, well, fuck, I would like to go back to a life with less of a COVID threat restricting so many of my fucking activities. So can I make do with what I need to do in my life while still restricting that as much as possible? Probably.
A lot of things are never going to go back to normal. Like a lot of places, masks are just a thing we're going to be doing now. We're never going to get physical menus back in restaurants, which I hate. I hate taking a picture of that QR code and looking at it on my phone.
I'm different on my opinion. In my head, Taylor, it's like, hopefully sometime this year or very early next year, a vaccine exists that we can get, and then just be like, all right, I exist in a post-COVID world. I've been vaccinated.
Maybe that would be probably the best option.
Yeah, that's the hope I have as well.
Yeah. But then you see like Filthy was saying, you never know what the fuck to believe with this stuff because it'll be like fucking vaccine on the way. final touches, and then some other guy who seems to know his shit will be like, that's beyond ridiculous. We're just now sequencing XYZ, figuring this. We can't release it until we actually test it, run it, make sure it works.
I'm outside my depth, but it's my impression that they've already figured it out. They're just testing different dosages. You know, how little can they use and still be effective for different sized people? And that's hard to do quickly because we're talking about human trials, you know? Like I can't tell you how this guy's going to respond over the next year in 1 month, right? That's
that treatment that they gave Trump, like some doctor was talking about, like, yeah, we're seeing really good luck with that. I don't think that's like a vaccine. Obviously, it's a treatment for once you have it.
Right. Now, I read that
better.
It's not as good. Now, it worked for Trump, right? So let's not pretend it's nothing. But I read that like it's not the silver bullet and the FDA.
But he's an obese 74-year-old. Like,
if it helps him, it helps most, right?
It helps a lot of people.
But again,
and he's just like he was like instantly better.
Each other, right? So
like they made such a big deal out of him, like breathing heavily.
You remember what it was called?
Oh, fuck. No, I don't remember off the top of my head. It was some like drug cocktail.
Yeah, it was a few things.
There's 8 drugs.
I'll say this: that caffeine wore off about an hour ago, and I am draining.